Deonna Purrazzo is now all elite in AEW. She has now joined AEW after Mariah May won her match. It sounds like Deonna Purrazzo will be positioned in the role of a babyface as she takes on Toni Storm. She's now made it clear she wants to take on Toni Storm. So, I want to tell you guys how this is actually a good thing for AEW, and I want to tell you guys something that kind of annoys me a lot. It kind of annoys me a lot because I see this a lot from fans, and even from some of my friends, when I kind of tell them these certain things, and I feel like they live in, like, people live in this bubble where it's like you have to be either Team WWE or Team AEW. It's like you have to pick a side. Like, no. Like, we shouldn't be picking sides, and that's the thing I really cannot stand about today's community. Deonna Purrazzo joining AEW today confirms that fans just do not give a shit about the wrestler Deonna Purrazzo. They only wanted the wrestler Deonna Purrazzo in their favorite company, which is WWE. They wanted her in WWE. I will say that, you know, I wouldn't have minded if she joined WWE, but I felt if she was to join WWE, they probably would have just had her be paired with Chelsea Green because, oh, you know, they were a tag team. They were a tag team in TNA, so let's just make them a tag team. And another thing about Deonna is that I don't see her beating Io, and I don't see her beating Rhea. Like, what? Are they going to send her to NXT to challenge for the challenge Lyra Valkyria just to lose to Lyra? You see, that's the thing. Like, I just don't see Deonna being a big star in WWE. I don't see her winning championships there. But people will say, yeah, but a match with Rhea. But then people will say, yeah, but look at the people that they have there. Asuka, Io, Kairi, Charlotte, Becky Lynch, Alexa Bliss, etc., etc. Like, there's way more dream matches for Deonna Purrazzo in WWE than in AEW. What, so Deonna Purrazzo versus Saraya doesn't pique your interest? Deonna versus Toni Storm doesn't pique your interest? Deonna Purrazzo versus Mariah May doesn't pique your interest? Deonna Purrazzo versus Ruby Soho doesn't pique your interest? Deonna Purrazzo versus Shida? Those are just a few names that I just... Even Thunder Rosa. And even Thunder Rosa, Julia Hart. Like, are you trying to say that there's not enough opponents for Deonna in AEW? Sure, one of the biggest complaints about AEW that I have made in the past is lack of women's matches. They only do one women's match per show. And if any other women are on TV, they usually just have them in a backstage segment. Like, you know, like Saraya has been lately. Like, Saraya has mainly been doing backstage skits with Ruby Soho to kind of continue building their story. Instead of, you know, sure, they had Ruby wrestle on Rampage, but you get what I mean. So, it's situations like this that just makes me go, well, even WWE sometimes only have one match. Sure, we had three on day one, and only two of them were competitive, while one was pretty short. But all I'm trying to say is that if you are a fan of Deonna Purrazzo, you would be supportive no matter where she goes. The problem that I have is that fans just want certain wrestlers in their favorite company. You know, when Deonna Purrazzo was in WWE the first time, they barely did anything with her. They had her appear on SmackDown when Alexa Bliss berated her and called her Jane Ellsworth. I think there was even talk of them making her that La Luchadora. Do people remember that storyline? That there was talk of Deonna Purrazzo playing that character, and then it ended up being Mickie James? Because it would have been terrible for Deonna Purrazzo. It would have been terrible for her. So they ended up making it Mickie James. Deonna Purrazzo barely won any matches when she was in WWE. She was in NXT, she barely got featured, she was always there to take losses. She was always there to take losses to other girls in NXT. She even had several matches in NXT UK, which she lost quite a few times. They even had her appear on Main Event a few times. Like, they even had her compete on Raw against Asuka, and she wrestled Nia Jax in her last match ever in WWE. So, now I'm not trying to say Deonna Purrazzo won any matches. I just think majority of the time I've always saw her lose in WWE. Like, and then and people wanted to see her back in WWE again. And I'm like, guys, have you guys forgotten how she was booked the last time she was there? And remind you, NXT back then was ran by Triple H. In NXT UK. The black and gold NXT was when Deonna was there, and that is how she was booked. Triple H was in charge then. And for people to say Deonna should have gone to WWE, oh, she made a huge mistake. She made a huge mistake. It's because you are not happy she went to the promotion you didn't want her to go to. Look, if AEW, fumble Deonna and if they fumble Deonna, I will be happy to say they did. I will be more than happy to come on here and say, hey, they've been doing a bad job with Deonna. Do I think they've been doing a bad job with Saraya? It really depends on if you look at it that way. If you look at it that way, then yes. In my opinion, not really. It's just that people, when it's more the case of, hey, when we criticize wrestlers for always losing in WWE, people always respond by saying, oh, they looked strong in defeat. Oh, it was a great match. They didn't look weak at all. Oh, they're being featured. It's not that big of a deal. But it's weird when Saraya consistently loses in AEW. I see a lot of people saying, oh, they're treating her like shit. I mean, didn't they do the same thing to Emma? I mean, wasn't Emma the same thing in WWE? Like, she came back, she did nothing but lose, but then people kept coming at me like, oh, at least she's being featured, man. Stop complaining. I don't know about you, man. I hate tribalism. You can hate me all you want, but I really hate tribalism. I really hate fans that are one-sided. Like, they'd rather support one company and give the middle bird to the other companies and not give them any chances. And people wonder. And people wonder why, when these new people get signed, they're scratching their heads like, who? Who's this person? And you wonder why people are always scratching their heads thinking, hey, is this person any good? Is this person really any good? Well, maybe if you stop being a dick and being a friggin' bubble nerd, instead of living in a bubble, maybe watch something else. If you want to know if these other wrestlers are good, maybe you should start watching other things. Instead of just waiting for someone to come from another promotion and say, is this person any good? That shit pisses me off. Especially with Jade Cargill. Jade Cargill is another one of those examples. Like, people don't watch AEW, so they have no clue who she is. They only know who she is because, social media. They've never watched a single match of her. They've never watched any of her matches, so when she comes to WWE, they're wondering if she's any good. And I'm like, well, maybe if you actually watched, maybe you'd know. Because I saw people on social media saying, is Deonna any good? And I'm like, well, if you watched Impact Wrestling, you would know. Seriously, I hate people like this. And if people saw her in WWE, they wouldn't think any big of her. They'd think, she was just some jobber. They'll just think she was just some random bum, some random jobber that AEW signed, and because she was a jobber in WWE, and then when Impact signed her and made her a big deal, now they want her to go back to WWE just because, her star power is stocked. Her stock has risen since the last time she was in WWE. Now she'll be treated like a star because Impact showed them that she's a star. It's the same thing with Trinity. Now that there's talk of her coming back to WWE, and everyone's excited as if, they're going to treat her the same way TNA has been treating her. I guarantee you Trinity will be booked the exact same way that she was when she was in WWE the first time. Just someone there, just a mid-carder, just a mid-card talent, not really pushed, we're only bringing her back because we want to put her in the bloodline. Let's put her in the bloodline. I don't want Trinity in the bloodline. I don't want Trinity in the bloodline. I want this bloodline shit to end. She's not going to be... Trinity is not going to get booked any better than she was in WWE the first time she was there. If you want me to believe that Trinity is going to be booked better, have her dethrone Io instead of Bayley. Have her dethrone Io. You want me to believe that Trinity will be booked like a star and is a big deal like you claim? She needs to beat Io. Or she should beat Rhea. But that's not going to happen, is it? That's not going to happen. She'll be paired with Jimmy Uso. They'll pair her with Jimmy Uso, and Jimmy Uso, being the loser he is, she will be a loser with him. They will be a mixed tag team couple that always take L's. Because Jimmy Uso's only won one match since turning heel. So I guarantee you, if they put Trinity with him, she'll be booked exactly like him. Always losing. And so, but again, that's the thing. People will say, well, at least she's on TV. It doesn't matter if she's losing. People will be like, well, it doesn't matter if she's losing. At least she's being featured. Okay, well, I can say the same thing about Saraya. Okay, well, I can say the same thing about Saraya in AEW. Doesn't matter if she's losing. She's on TV. Should it matter if she loses? As long as she's on TV, she's being featured, she's in matches, she's in segments. As long as she's doing something, she's doing something. You see, that's the problem with tribalism. That's the problem with people who stick to their promotion. They think that their promotion that they watch is perfect and they don't do wrong. But when they check out this other company with people who they used to like in the company that they watched, if they watch something for a certain wrestler that they watched in a certain different company, they will complain about how, Saraya was booked like a beast in WWE. How could AEW do this to her? It's exactly the same as WWE, man. It's no different than WWE. Having someone in WWE booked to lose consistently. It's no different. It's the exact same thing, but you're just looking at it in two different perspectives. I will make another video sometime tomorrow, and I'm going to be talking about lengthy title reigns, because I had a bit of a, I wouldn't call it an argument, but a bit of a discussion about it on my stream. And I'm going to talk about more in depth about how much I dislike lengthy title reigns. But there are some lengthy title reigns that I really do like. So I'm definitely going to be making a video about that at some point. Because it just really grinds my gears. It really grinds my gears about how people just want certain things. I'll get to that in more detail. But again, Deonna Purrazzo in AEW, it's just funny to me how people are just angry she didn't go to WWE. Dude, if you're upset she didn't go to WWE, then you're not a fan. You're not a fan of her. If you're a fan of her, you'd be happy for her no matter where she goes. Just stop it. Stop claiming you like people. Because that's the problem. That's the problem I have with a lot of people. That's the problem I have with a lot of people. A lot of people are like, oh, she's not any good. I've had a friend tell me that Deonna's not any good. And I'm like, yeah, you don't think she's any good because she did nothing in WWE. And because the talks of her coming back, then that same friend of mine said, well, if Deonna comes back, maybe she can change my mind. No. Yeah, you're only saying that because she could potentially go to WWE, but you didn't say that the first time when she was there. But all I'm saying is that people just love to be completely biased and say that a wrestler isn't good because they're not in the company they wanted them in. Deonna Purrazzo is a great wrestler. It doesn't matter what company she's in. She's a great wrestler. And if you're going to say you're not a fan of technical wrestlers, then my God, would have you been chewed out? Would you get chewed out for not liking Kurt Angle? Because I swear, I've heard some people say, oh, Deonna is boring. I don't like technical wrestlers that utilize submissions. Yeah, Kurt Angle did that. And so did a certain guy and so did a different certain wrestler that I'm not going to name, because I don't want to get in trouble for mentioning his name. There are other technical wrestlers that were good wrestlers. If you're going to say Deonna is boring because she's a technical wrestler, then you are watching WWE that has lots of technical wrestlers. Especially Chad Gable, and Kurt Angle, and several other people that will wrestle there. But hey, it's your forte. Whatever. Now will Deonna Purrazzo become the champion and beat Toni Storm? I mean, I wouldn't be mad if Deonna beat her. I wouldn't be mad if Deonna beat her. But again, if she was in WWE, would have they had Deonna defeat Io? No. Would have they had her beat Rhea? No. I don't think they would have. They would have had her challenge them, but she'd lose. And it's going to be the same thing here. Deonna Purrazzo challenges Toni Storm, has a great match, possibly loses. But then people are going to say, but if that happens, then people will be like, I see, if she came to WWE, they wouldn't let that happen to her. They would have had her tap out Io. No. It would have been the same result. Io would have hit the over the moonsault and beaten Deonna. Tribalism. I despise it. And that's the game, and that's the name of this video. I hate tribalism, and fans need to stop living in bubbles and start being more supportive to wrestlers. If you are a fan of a certain wrestler, you should always support them. Doesn't matter what company they go to. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all on the other side.